Hey everybody, this is the 20-gallon angelfish tank I keep for my wife. And I was walking by today, I noticed the door was open, I looked in and saw that the water sprite in here is getting a little thick. And at the very least the tank needs a top off, and it's been a while since I've been in here doing any work on the tank, so I figured instead of just topping it off, we may as well get in here and do a full water change. So it doesn't look like the glass needs to be wiped down or anything. I did that the last time I was in here. This tank does not have a lot of real heavy lighting on it, and my wife keeps this tank on a timer, so it doesn't get a huge amount of light, and therefore I don't get a ton of excessive algal growth on the front glass, so we're not going to have to worry about that probably. But I will change out the filter. I will thin out the water sprite, and I'll do any other little odds and ends while I'm in there if I come across anything that needs to be done. So just a simple before and after. So consider this part your before, and there's your after. So I was really pleased with what I saw once I got in there and really started doing the water change. I used my gravel vac, although I didn't really get down into the gravel and do any actual gravel vacuuming. I just kind of used it as a siphon to drain the water. I only drained about 4 gallons. Once you get below that, it goes below where the filter intake is, and the filter stops running, and of course the water starts getting fairly low on the heater as well, and I don't like to expose too much of the heater. I generally don't bother to unplug them when I do a water change. I know that's not recommended, but I figure my chances of injuring myself or the fish with the heater are far less than my chances of me forgetting to plug the heater back in and then losing fish, as I've done before, especially in this tank. This is one of those rooms that doesn't get used a lot, and so it doesn't necessarily stay the same temperature as the rest of the house. And last winter I forgot to plug a heater in, and I wound up losing a bunch of fish. And then when I put a heater in the tank, I didn't think about checking it gradually and all that kind of stuff, and I wound up really running the heat up way too high, and I actually wound up finishing off the last few fish that were in the tank, with the exception of Swimmy down there in the bottom. That is one of my oldest fish at this point. She's got a slightly deformed tail, and the older she gets, the more crooked it is, but she's one of the very first fish we ever bought. One of the few fish I have a name, that is Swimmy. And she is an emerald Cory. I say she because I've seen her laying eggs before. And she's an awesome little fish. I love her. So one of the things I found when I got in here, in addition to the glass being very clean, I could have wiped it down. It would probably be a little bit clearer. Not enough that you'd probably even be able to notice on this video, though, had I done it. But I recently got in here and did a lot of work. The tank was getting really overgrown. The plant growth was getting really kind of thick and lush, and that was really reducing the water flow. I also had the little hang on the back filter there. This is a small hang on the back. It's designed for a 20-gallon tank, so it's not a huge amount of overfiltration or anything like that. It's actually a bare minimum amount of filtration for this tank. You can see I only have the intake hanging about halfway down the back. It doesn't even go anywhere near the bottom to pick up any detritus or anything off the bottom. And I also had so much roots and tangled mass at the bottom that this tank just really filled with detritus and crud and grunge. And while the fish seemed to be doing okay, the tank just looked awful. And I got algae growing all over the glass all the time, and there was just a lot of stagnation, and it just didn't look very good. So all I really did was open it up by removing a lot of the plants and allowing the water to be able to circulate a little more. And then I added that air stone. And the difference it's made has just been huge. I said something recently similar to this in my office tank, where I put a small power head in that, and I really increased the circulation in that tank. So the increased circulation really does make a big difference in the way a tank is maintained, and maybe one of these days I'll shoot a video where I talk about tank circulation, because I'm pretty keen on it. I've got power heads in most of my tanks, and I'm pretty, aware of redundancy. If I've got the failure of a filter, if I've got the power head giving me good vigorous circulation, then the tank can sort of buffer for the fact that the filter gets shut down or something, but you need that circulation. It's really important. And so this is, for me, sort of first-hand look at just how significant of a difference that added circulation just by putting an air stone in there. Now, of course, with the air stone, you've got the additional advantage not just of having better circulation, but you've just got the absolute maximum amount of gas exchange you can possibly get. You just can't do any better than putting even a small air stone in your tank when it comes to keeping the tank either well oxygenated or keeping the CO2 levels from getting elevated. It just stabilizes it and keeps it steady, and it also helps stabilize your pH. Having an air stone in your tank just does a lot of good things. I don't like bubbles in the tank, so I generally don't keep air stones in most of my tanks, but you know, that doesn't change the fact that they do really good things for your tank. And if you want to do something really simple that will really benefit your tank, put an air stone in it. It really, really helps a lot. And this tank is a prime example of just that effect. So other than that, I got nothing really to talk about. As I said, I didn't get in there and scrunch anything around. You can see I removed a bunch of the floating water sprite there. I just pulled a bunch of babies out. I threw them in one of my grow out buckets. So as usual, I've got those for sale. If you're interested in any Java Fern or water sprite, I've got plenty of both of that right now. As I usually do, so you can check my email down below, contact me, or leave a comment, whatever. I'll get in touch with you, as long as provided I get the comment. You know, YouTube has to give me the comment, make sure I get it. So there you go. There's just a quick before and after. Nothing really special to talk about. Again, I did change the filter pad while I was in there, and that's about it. I removed some of the plants. I did not wipe the glass down, and I did not really do any kind of gravel vacuuming at all, and I mean none. I didn't even like gently skim over the surface of it or anything. It just really doesn't really need it. I mean, I'm sure it would have pulled some stuff up and out of there, but how much? You know, I'm not worried about it. That tank looks fine to me. So there you go. That's all I'm doing fish-wise tonight. I got a couple other little things I'm going to go tinker with now. So make sure you're subscribed. That way you won't miss anything I got coming up. I am going to shoot a video about the ammonia blockers and the pH in one of my tanks downstairs. I'm having a little tiny issue with my nitrogen cycle. And so we're going to sit down and have a little chat about that. So that'll be tomorrow's video. So make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss that or anything else. So thanks for watching this one. Don't forget this one is my wife's tank. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you real soon in the next one.